Hey ladies, come here often. Welcome to my channel, well, not Geralt's channel, Jordan's channel. I am having a very hard time looking at myself in the mirror. I'm an old man, and I thought, you know, with the release of Witcher 3, which actually comes out today, May 19th, what better than to turn myself into a sexy, brooding old man. I have not done a lot of kind of aging makeup on camera, so this was the perfect opportunity. I did do Geralt from the game, and so this will be my transformation into him from my young lady self to my old man self. All product details will be listed down below, as always, obviously. Thank you guys for checking out the makeup. Let's get to it. So starting off, I am taking a light foundation, which is from RCMA, the VK11 palette, and my beauty blender, and I am just going to be putting that all over my face and onto my neck. Now we're going to need some wrinkles, because he is a defined, beautiful man with aged, he's like a fine aged wine. So make all these weird faces with your face and find where all your little wrinkles are at. So taking a MAC 210 brush, just because it's super thin, and the Anastasia contour shade in Fawn, I'm going to start adding in these wrinkles. Wrinkles themselves are actually pretty easy. You just have to make all these weird fucked up faces and pretty much put the color inside of the lines that you have when you naturally push up your face or scrunch it up in certain places. He's a pretty wrinkly dude, so just go ham in the wrinkles. This is my favorite face. Looks like I just smelled something real bad. Pretty much just pretend you're an angry old man looking in the mirror at yourself. This is how I'm gonna look as an old lady. Somehow I have yellow eyes as an old lady, but... Using a mix of the Carob shade from Anastasia and Fawn that we've been using, I'm going to start adding more shadow underneath where my brow is and contour my nose to look like him. His is a very strong, manly nose and has a very straight bridge going down, so I'm going to try to mimic that on my nose. Basically, something to keep in mind this entire time is dimension. He has so much dimension on his face, and the way that you can create this is by darkening up certain areas and contouring certain areas to look like him. His eye sockets look a little more hooded and kind of sunken in, so I am definitely just keeping in with the darkest point of my eye being towards the inner center, right under where that brow bone would be. His eyes have a little bit of a red kind of tinge to them in the skin, so I am using my favorite shade from Makeup Geek, you guys know, which is Bitten, and I am just adding that on top of the brown just to give a little bit more kind of color to his face. I really want this brow to look angry and as intense as possible, so I'm taking Corrupt from Makeup Geek, which is a black eyeshadow, and I'm just going to use that to intensify even more how much shadow that brow would cast onto the eye. You know, keep in mind that if there was a light source on top of his face and his brow is, you know, furrowed and mad and angry and intense, there would be a very intense cast shadow under on the socket of the eye. I wanted to intensify the wrinkles a little more, so I am just using that Fawn shade and the 210 brush to, again, just add more wrinkles. Okay, now for that manly beard he has. I'm just using my 210 brush and some Mehron makeup Paradise paints mixed together, just a little bit of black and white to make a nice gray color. I want to put some little dots to see exactly kind of where I want the beard to start and where I want it to end. It's nice because if you paint on a beard, you can cover up this pimple like I have. So every time I have a pimple now, I'm just gonna, you know, paint on a beard. No big deal. Using an F55 brush from Sigma, I am going to use this brush to create the base of the beard. This brush is great because it covers a lot of area and the bristles are kind of separated apart, so you can really loosely get a ton of those beard hairlines with one stroke of the brush instead of sitting there and trying to draw on each one individually. I did this a few times. I switched between a darker gray and a lighter gray just by mixing the black and the white together to get the exact color I wanted. I want this beard to be extremely dimensional, so go ahead and go in with a ton of different varieties of colors. You guys fucking know I don't just stop there. I gotta keep going with my detail. So I am using a smaller brush again to draw on certain particular hairs. His beard is very unruly, you know, it's not super groomed and straight. So I'm using a littler brush to draw on curved hairs, to draw kind of fucked up looking hairs, and I want it to be super dimensional. That is the number one thing to make this look more on the realistic side, is to add a fuck ton of dimension, add a fuck ton of lighter hairs, darker hairs, and a good tip is to definitely keep the beard a little darker towards the jawline and lighten it up a little as you go higher on the face. Or if you're a man watching this tutorial and you really want a beard but you can't grow a beard, just fake that shit. Fake it till you fucking make it. It can be a long process, but I promise you, if you just keep at it, it'll look super, super realistic.
Don't try this yourself. It's extremely dangerous.
I wanted to add some shadow on his face by his beard, so I am using the Fawn contour shade from Anastasia, Beverly Hills, and adding a little bit of shadow right under his bottom lip too. Now do this super extremely sexy face, and I am going to intensify his little kind of smile lines he got going on. I forgot to do his eyebrows, so I obviously got to do those, so I'm just using the Carob shade from Anastasia just to give him a little bit. In the pictures that I've seen, he doesn't have a whole lot of eyebrows going on, so I just kind of wanted to keep him simple and light. Now for his infamous scar. I am starting out with the MAC 210 brush and Beech Berry paint from Mehron makeup, just to draw out exactly where his scars and his little cuts are. Using an angled brush from Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics, I'm going to start adding some depth inside the scar. Basically, the scar is an indention into the skin, so naturally it would have a shadow cast inside of it. So using the black eyeshadow that I used earlier from Makeup Geek, I am just going to darken up the sides a little bit. Using that Fawn shade from Anastasia, that's probably my 4th or 5th fucking time saying that, I am just going to start darkening up some indentions of the skin. You know, if you look at his scar, it's mangled looking. That shit didn't heal well. So we got to add in some shadow where all those little indentions are, because when you look at a scar, and maybe if it didn't heal too well, the skin is kind of pulled together into that scar and that kind of open wound he has going on. So we want to make it look like it has these indentions and it's not perfect. You want to also make some of the skin right next to the scar look raised up. So basically, if you want something to be raised up, you highlight it, and if you want something to look a little lower, you add shadow. For a little highlighting, I am using my NARS Creamy Concealer in Chantilly and a little bit of the OCC Vice Cream color mixed together just so it's super light. And I am going to basically be highlighting the skin right against where that scar starts, because the scar would have some pieces of skin that would be higher, just like it has some pieces of skin that are indented and, you know, have shadow on them. It also would then have pieces that are raised up, so you want to highlight those. Then I'm going to be doing the exact same thing on my scar that's on my cheek, just adding some darker pigment on the actual scar and then using the same brown shades to just kind of blend it into my face and add a little bit of those small indentions because the scar on his face is just as fucked up as the scar on his forehead. Another great tip is just really study your reference picture. Really take a look at his scars. That's what I had to keep doing. I had my phone right next to me and I just zoomed in on that scar and I pretty much tried to exactly draw what I saw. Doing the exact same thing on this cut as well. I wanted to keep it a little more red and I didn't do as much shading on it. I wanted to make it look a little more fresh than the other ones. Like I said in the tutorial earlier, he is muddy and he just looks kind of dirty, like he's been running around places, so I am just adding more darker shades here and there, and then I keep darkening up certain wrinkles, especially the ones around his nose. Those ones are very deep, so we really want those to be intensified. Using that F55 brush again and the Carob shade from Anastasia, I did add a little water to it just so that it's a little more intense. It's more like a paint. I am making him look even more rugged with more of that dirt, more of that sweat on his face so that he looks like a rugged, sexy outdoors man. I mean, he's running around killing bitches, so I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't be just super clean. He's gonna look rugged as hell. Just to intensify the face, I did add some highlighting using the OCC Vice color concentrate, which is white, but I did it very lightly, and I just did it in some choice spots, few onto down the bridge of my nose, on my cheeks, and on my forehead just a little bit. For his amazing chest piece, we are going to start by mapping everything out using the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Black Bean. I am drawing out exactly where his shoulder plates are and all of these straps that he has on his chest. Now this part is easy peasy, just filling in. So I'm filling in everywhere that's black on his chest with black paint from Mehron Makeup. And then for the brown, okay, I have a little bit of a confession to make to you guys. I have brown paint upstairs, but I usually film downstairs, and I really didn't want to have to go upstairs, so I just wet my Carob shade from Anastasia that I've been using, and I actually use that as paint for the brown straps, because I just, going upstairs, you know, sometimes I'm too lazy. Now going in with the white cream concentrate from OCC called Vice, we are going to add a little bit of highlighting to the straps. They do seem to be leather, so if our light source was coming from us at a frontward angle, there would be a little bit of highlighting towards the front of all of the leather straps. Now just to add a little bit of shadow on these straps, the shoulder plates seem to be on top of the straps, so these straps would have some shadow cast on the sides of them from these shoulder plates. And we are just going to kind of darken the outer edges out a little bit so that it looks a little more realistic. Geralt has this cool kind of almost chainmail-ish pattern on his shoulder plates, so we are going to do that using the white and black Mehron Makeup paints mixed together and a small shader brush from Sigma. I decided to just go with this kind of crisscross pattern, very simple and easy to do, so just go along that all along the shoulder blades back and forth. Since it is metal, it wouldn't just be one-dimensional. We want it to have some fucking dimension. So it would have some highlighting. So go ahead with white or even a lighter gray paint and add a little bit of dimension on what you already have down, but focus on one side. Just so that it looks like the light is reflecting beautifully on the shoulder plates. Using the same gray paint, I am drawing on some buttons on the shoulder plates and then the belt buckle he has on that first front strap. I wanted to darken up his lip a little bit because his lips wouldn't be perfect, so I am just using a little bit of the brown Carob shade that I had wet earlier just to put on the inside of my lips. And there you have it. That is my transformation from young lady into older man as Geralt. I hope you guys like this tutorial, and I hope if you're going to play the game, you have a fucking blast playing it. I'm super excited to play it. So, thank you for checking me out, and please do subscribe. I will see you next time.